Greetings. Greetings, everyone. It is November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving, the eve before Thanksgiving. I came to you earlier today and I interviewed our lead tech, Todd Lewis, and I am back like a good rash. And I only have one question for my guest tonight. This is Izlo. Meet Izlo. If you are in Epic Cash, you know Izlo because he's probably helped you a half a dozen times. He's probably answered many questions. This is one of the most knowledgeable gentlemen in the community. And I only have one question for him tonight, and then we can wrap up the interview. Izlo, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is the best way to stuff a turkey?
Oh my. What a coincidence you would ask this question. Well, first you get 4 pounds of bread because that's what the internet recipe says to do so. And then you get 4 pounds of meat, and then you get some sage and you dry it out. And that's how you start with it. I feel like I'm going the wrong direction with this. Why you talk.
I was going to say, serve him lots of pizza and ice cream.
There you go.
Oh, that was bad. I should leave those to Jay Leno, right?
Wow. No. Like you're so much in the dad joke realm, you might have kids running around you don't know about.
That was such a bad dad joke. That was such a bad dad joke. But it's bad dad joke season, as you know, because when we have Thanksgiving and we're prepping for our big meal and whatnot, I mean, what do we look forward to most tomorrow? I'll throw that one at you. That's my second question. What are we looking forward to most tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day?
Being with the family.
Wrong. I can't. Is low. No, tomorrow at noon Eastern time, I'm interviewing yoga for an hour.
Oh, dude, of course. Oh, yeah, right. that is time with the family.
That's time with the family. Everybody, I am just joking. I'm not going to do a third joke.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. We're going to leave the comedians to themselves tonight. No, what? All right. Here's the deal. Last Friday, this past Friday, I interviewed Mike Mamola for an hour, and it went really, really well. And today I interviewed Todd Lewis for an hour, and it went really, really well. And tonight I'm interviewing you for an hour, and it's going to go really, really well. And tomorrow, Izlo, I have Max on the docket. And what's the common theme? For an hour. Really, really well. I have gotten lots of positive feedback from people who really, really want to learn more from everybody in leadership within Epic Cash, in the community with Epic Cash. And I've had everybody on, but usually they're like 2 or 3 hour interviews. and people are saying, look, can we have something more bite-sized? So I have had you on before, and it's been a longer interview. And so in anticipation of the upcoming air grab on December 25th, I am going to dedicate the rest of the time between now and then, to the best of my ability, to be able to get as many people in the community on who are making a difference, who are making contributions, to introduce them and to talk about Epic Cash, to talk about different aspects of Epic Cash. And there are so many community members that have so many different areas of expertise or skill. And you, dear sir, happen to be one that are like I don't know, man. You're like a Swiss Army knife. You seem to me to just have a command of almost everything and a really patient ability to be able to teach and coach and train and just pull people through the process. So you and I exchanged a PDF that's circulating that has a lot of big words on it. And it's one of these that I thought, wow, these, I'm looking at it right now, these 15 things are what make Epic Cash so amazingly special. But they're ones that when you like look at them all at once, it's like drinking from a fire hose. And so I asked you if you'd be open to just kind of unpack these one by one. And I'm interested in the world according to Izlo on what these mean to you. So we're going to use this as a guide, go one for one. And I hope we can all learn something, because the more people learn about this, I think the more Epic Cash they'll acquire between now and December 25th, when there's going to be the snapshot where they will get an equal one for one. If you hold one Epic Cash, you'll get one ECR token. And that is going to unlock your future at the bank of you. We're not going to go to that tonight. It's just one of those, trust me. So I just want to invest the time to educate you further. So with that, Izlo, let me say hello. Thank you for joining me tonight, especially on the night before Thanksgiving. And let me give it over to you. Just open it up. What's on your mind, just let us know, because we love us some Izlo.
Right on. Thank you so much for having another community member on. I think it's awesome when the community, just the average lowly community folks get out there. Thanks for the high praise and compliments. I am honored to be with you. A dynamic individual who has had their hands in the incubation of something as awesome as Priceline. And that's been on my mind lately, that the people behind the scenes. That was my dog running off.
All right. I love dogs.
I know. But that's been on my mind lately, that, a lot of times what draws people in are, a billionaire investor, or who's on the team, with Cadena, I might be saying that wrong. Mm-hmm. It is the JP Morgan, former heads of JP Morgan, some fairly well-to-do, accomplished bankers went and made a blockchain, and it's blowing up. Not to get off the top of Epic Cash, but we are partnered with Cadena, so it's relevant. And just all these partnerships. There's a lot of really great things. I'm holding. Let me say this. This popped into my head. Before these interviews with you, I have these shower thoughts. But none of this is financial advice. Not telling you to go out and buy Epic, but we know the ECR snapshot is coming up. So on December 25th, and by way of a community decision, basically a redo of what was previously scheduled, and to honor what was previously scheduled, and to keep that promise to the community, that snapshot is still coming on. And so life is good. My dog's happy running around, but I'm home.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's a Vizsla. Vizsla, I call him a Vizsla. Yeah.
A Vizsla. Those are awesome. Can you put them on your lap? Can you bring them over? Show us your dog. I love dogs.
Hold on.
Come on, puppy. Come on.
Come here.
Come on.
Topper. My son just got home, so obviously my son takes precedence. There's a pecking order.
Of course.
Come on, get up here.
Come on.
Here, come here.
Buddy. Come on. Oh, there you go. Oh, do you have a toy? Oh, is that a toy? Oh, you're such a good puppy. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love dogs, man. I cannot get enough of dogs. So, okay, sorry, I interrupted you.
So life is good. The ecosystem you started to talk about, there's this PDF circulating. And I think my comments initially were, well, let's leave that to Max to talk about, but I'm certainly open to getting into the parts, because you have a mind map of what's going on in Max's supercomputer brain.
Yeah, super.
and,
Right.
and that's, I don't know if you ever heard of mind mapping, but it's not my preference for planning things out, but some people just love this concept of mind mapping where you put everything and it's connected like a big network.
Right.
And to me, it's just kind of chaotic, and I'm like, it's overwhelming to me. But there's parts of it I do understand, and it just underscores the development, the comprehensive development of what's going into Epicache and the ecosystem, and all these different mechanisms that come into play, and it's all relevant. It's fantastic. I'm really excited.
100%. It is. Yeah. It is mind numbing when you watch and you and I, and I'm not going to share the PDF because that is Max's to unpack. Okay. And you and I would look like sixth graders trying to unpack the whole subway system that he has going on. But right. There are certain points of it that are highlighted within the ecosystem that I think we can talk about. So we're just going to kind of start at the top. One of the of the 15, there's censorship resistant. What do you think, specific to Epicache and the ecosystem? How are we censorship resistant? And what does that mean as an Epicache coin holder?
Well, CoinJoin, right? I mean, you can never put a thumbprint on a coin that's produced. You can't get singularly distinctive characteristics that can be advertised to the world on a public ledger, because that's not how the Mimblewimble protocol works. There's no known transacted amounts between peers, and so that's the very starting point for being censorship resistant. I'm not going to send my freshly minted Epic off someplace, off to some centralized exchange, and have them recorded and as part of some nefarious activity that took place someplace else. It's cash, and that's the part of some other blockchains that makes these other blockchains not cash. I mean, something called Bitcoin Cash is not really cash if it's not fungible. If you can stop that money based on a public ledger reading somewhere, it's no longer cash. It ceases that. It's not good cash. It's I mean, if it doesn't perform those functions of money, then it's irrelevant at a certain time.
So I want to your dog. I don't know if your dog's male or female, but let's just say your dog is female and has puppies, and I want to buy one of the puppies, and $500 for a Vigilante puppy, which is probably like ridiculously low. Let's maybe add a zero, $5,000 for a Vigilante puppy, and you accept cash. If I come over to your home, choose the puppy, and I pay you, I can pay you, if you accept it, by Visa, MasterCard, something that goes through an institution, right? Through a third party.
Right.
And that would be potentially surveilled. It doesn't mean that I'm doing anything nefarious by buying a Vigilante puppy, but I could also pay you in green cash, right? Yeah. And that green cash, nobody knows what I'm doing with that $5,000. Nobody knows that I'm at your house, and I'm giving it to you in exchange for that Vigilante puppy. Again, is that a nefarious activity? No, it's just we're using green cash.
Right.
It cannot be surveilled. It is not tracked. So if you are exchanging with Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, or literally almost most other blockchains, their blockchain protocol is not censorship resistant, or it is not surveillance resistant. And so it can be seen on the public ledger. With Bitcoin, every time a Bitcoin exchanges owners, if you will, the entire history of that Bitcoin comes along with it. And what does that mean? That means that if, let's say, 6 stops back, that Bitcoin was engaged with a transaction that was indeed nefarious. Let's say that it was tracked to be on I don't know, the dark market somewhere, to where it was just something illegal was done with it. And if the 3-letter agencies note that that was part of the transaction, even though you had nothing to do with it, you could own what's called a tainted Bitcoin. That Bitcoin could be locked up. That could be like, whoa, 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 this was part of a nefarious transaction. Why? Because every bit of the information since its minting is on that block, is within that coin that you own.
Right.
And so one of the powerful things about Epic Cash is, and I had Todd Lewis on today, I really, really, really suggest people, I mean, he's the head of epic.tech. And he's a lovely, lovely guy. I love him. I mean, he's just one of these guys that brings a lot of energy to the interview. It was a ton of fun. But we have what's called, and you mentioned it, Mimblewimble protocol, to where the transaction is simply invisible. It just works. Nobody is going to see who sent what, how much, or the history of that coin. Again, does not mean we're engaged with nefarious activities. I could buy your Visa with Epic Cash if you accepted it. The only difference is with Bitcoin, they'd know it came from me to you, and now you own it. But with Epic Cash, it would be like the green cash. It would be invisible. Do I have that right?
I think you nailed it.
Okay. Okay. So centralization resistant is another one. What does that mean?
Near and dear to my heart as someone who got into crypto, interested in the tech side of it and mining, is this idea of decentralized mining. And at first, I just wanted to sort of run with the big dogs and mine with as much as I could, which was a modest like 3 or 4 graphics cards. But once a couple of years later, after I aped into this whole scene, what I came to realize was Satoshi's white paper called out 1 CPU equals one vote. And it was built originally to be mined with CPUs, and then industrious people came along and smart software engineering people said, oh, well, I can alter this software that's intended for a CPU and now mine it with a GPU, which has all these teraflops and all these more. I've read that one's is highly technical, but anyways, arithmetic.
Yeah.
Arithmetic processors. That's the difference between GPUs and CPUs. Just the processing power is just multitudes greater than a CPU alone. And so at this point, it still didn't really get away from a centralization because a lot of people have video cards in their homes, and maybe you could still even mine with some CPUs. But then ASICs came along, and if a GPU was, say, several orders of magnitude greater than the CPU, maybe single digits multipliers, all of a sudden application-specific integrated circuits came along and made that 1,000 times more effective than the CPU ever could have dreamed of being. And now a CPU becomes a lottery miner. You can through some random probability of million to none, to one, you may get a chance of mining a block with a CPU. And there's actually people that that's what they do. They have these USB drives that are these old antiquated, like one little microchip that was a part of the ASIC, and they melded that onto a flash drive. and people will plug this into a USB drive and mine Bitcoin on the off chance that they might actually, 1 in a bazillion chance hit a block, and which would be amazing, but it's highly unlikely.
Wow.
And so that's centralized. Back to the point of centralization resistant. The way Epic Cash has their proof of work designed is to cater primarily to CPUs and GPUs. And oh, by the way, we consider application-specific integrated circuits as well. We consider these ASICs through a mining protocol called Cuckoo Cycle that can actually be mined on GPU as well. So there's really smart people in the Epic community, miners, who are actually using that 4% cycle time to mine on their GPUs. And I think even on their I think it might even be mineable on CPUs. But to get those extra hashes in there and to get those extra Epic coins. So
can you share with us one of the unique aspects of Epic Cash mining, as I understand it, is that there are 3 algorithms that are used. Can you share with us what those are and what percentage?
Absolutely. So it's 48, 48, 4. It's 48% to a CPU, 48% to a GPU, and then 4% goes to ASIC. And that's just, you add those numbers all together, you get 100%. So throughout the day, the mining algorithm swaps around. There's a Brazilian bean dish called Ferroda, I think. And it's this idea of, you have these beans, right? Let's say you have 100 of these beans that are distributed throughout the course of the day. And right now, I think it's actually about 5,000 Epic Cash coins that are, that get mined out. Divided by 4, it's something like, I don't know, 1,200 or so blocks that are found during the day. And all these blocks are distributed among these 3 different mining algorithms.
Okay.
Just kind of sequentially. It's a little bit random. There's a particular algorithm that goes into it. I was just looking at Major Miner's comment. Epic Cash is a global project, helps to consider that there are places in the world where privacy is very immediately relevant to one's life, not just livelihood. That's a very good point. I actually have the comments up today. Usually I'm kind of oblivious to it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. We love it.
And Enrique had a good comment as well about Cash has serial numbers. Very true. Like even the regular cash that we typically use on a day-to-day basis isn't the most perfect cash in the world.
That's right.
There's this enlightening going on right now, this awakening. And I hate to use the term woke, culture or whatever. So I'm not going to, but because it's just words. But no, I think as time goes on and people are learning about what's going on in the world, they're finding other ways to do things, better ways to do things. And so that's the world we live in. That's technology. That's us getting out of our caves and building our skyscrapers and jet aircraft and going to the moon. And
hey, you know what? This is a question I want to ask. I've been knee deep in this stuff for almost a year now, and I remember at the very beginning, I just couldn't quite get it, and I'm going to ask the question now as if I was brand new, but I don't get it. You're talking about digital currency. You're talking about different coins or whatever. What in the heck derives any value from any of these? Like why do I, what's the value of Epic Cash? It's just like, another coin. It's digits. It's, I know what green cash is, but Epic Cash?
I have an answer for that. And it's because we find reasons to make it valuable. The same thing happens with gold. We're like, well, this can be made ornamental. It doesn't rust like silver does. There's this comparison that takes place between gold and other precious metals. Well, gold is better because it doesn't rust as easily, or it doesn't rust at all. And it's more scarce than silver, and all these other things go into that. So at the end of the day, it's fiat. Cryptos, and this is a confusing thing because in the crypto sphere, in crypto people talk, when they refer to fiat, they're talking about paper cash, paper money, or just whatever the regular national currencies are. And they'll say that those are fiat currencies. But any crypto any currency, I would say, when you look at the definition of fiat, it's something that's based on, an agreed value to that currency. So
really,
yeah.
if you really step back
Mm-hmm.
and you think about it, it's like, what is the alternative? If you really, really rewind and you think that how did people exchange value way back when? It was through barter. Right?
Right.
You would bring something, or you would bring your own human resource, and you would say, I will work for you for the day if I can get a chicken, or I will bring you, this cow, and in exchange, you'll give me that bushel of wheat or whatever. It's barter. It happens all the time. And so the currency came into play when, it really is kind of a sucky model if the currency of the day is gold. And if you're walking around with gold in your pockets all the time and trying to use that as currency, lots of bad things can happen, right? You could get robbed, depending upon if you want to buy a ranch in North Montana, your pockets may not be big enough to carry all of that gold. And so at one point in time, centralization came into play, and banks allowed you to be able to deposit gold to be able to then give you IOUs that you could take to another bank somewhere else, and it would be noted as currency. It was good. You could trade it in for gold over there. So if I was in Paris and I wanted to go to the UK, England, instead of traveling with all of your gold and getting potentially robbed of your wealth, you could deposit in the Rockefeller Bank in France, and then in the Rockefeller Bank in England. You'd have the IOU and you'd get your gold over there. So ultimately, we've been trying to replace this bartering, and to the extent that we could make it fungible, meaning, one piece of paper as good as this piece of paper. We might know them both as dollar bills, but that's currency that we can all exchange in. We can all port. There are fives, there are tens, there are 20s, there are hundreds. And so really, and I'm just talking out loud here, I'm just trying to brainstorm this. So really, cryptocurrency is just digitizing the monetary value, and the world at large arriving at a similar place of agreement, which is, we consider, let's call it Bitcoin, which was the beginning that started it all. At some point in time, people started recognizing a Bitcoin as digital value that we could exchange. So I could use that to not just send you a Bitcoin, but I could use it to send you a Bitcoin to, back then, get a bag of weed on the dark web. That was the original use case back then. It seemed, or pizza or whatever.
Alpaca socks seems fairly popular. I know a couple of people that spent a dozen or so Bitcoins on alpaca socks, which is
Alpacas. There you go. So really, if you think about it, Bitcoin kind of started the race, and other cryptocurrencies followed. And right now, Epic Cash is designed after the Bitcoin protocol, and the emission schedule matches.
Yeah.
And now we're here. It's Todd Lewis said it best. It's like if Satoshi could create Bitcoin in 2019, he would have used Mimblewimble. Easy. That was part of his vision. So that's what we did.
Well, Mimblewimble uses the same elliptical curve cryptography that Bitcoin uses to secure transactions, that has been irrefutable as the best way to do it. And it takes that technology and it makes the amounts obfuscated, and it makes it private. That's the privacy mechanism, is elliptical curve cryptography and special math, where they do something, distributive properties of multiplication as a blinding factor. It's phenomenal, but it's very simple. It's elegant, and oh my gosh, what's up with me following Todd today? Like, that's not cool. I gotta follow Todd. I mean, that guy is amazing. Come on. But I'm just happy to be here as a community member, and I've learned so much here, and watching people like Todd and yourself and Max and Yoga Dude, it's just super cool. I glean so much. What's that?
It's a great community. And not only do you glean, it sticks, and then you pay it forward.
Yeah. Thistle and Sea Pork and the ladies of Epic Cash, it's all of it. I love seeing these folks come on here.
Yeah, and it's cool. I'm just looking right now. Hi, Alex. Alex is my baby. She's my baby, and she's in. And Alex. She pivoted her business from selling her stained glass art on Twitter amongst Twitter artists. It's kind of funny. It's like they almost kind of like a round robin, that their community was such that they just, kind of bought from each other and supported each other and whatnot. And when I approached her with the idea, because something happened with the Twitter algorithm to where it's literally, I mean, not just Alex, but like the whole group of artists. It's like they would do a tweet of some of their work that would get like, thousands of shares, to where it would be like, tens of shares. And just like it literally brought everything to a halt. And she was like just stymied. And so I sent her a JPEG of an Epic Cash coin. And I said, I'm curious, can you do anything with this? And she did. And it was just amazingly beautiful. And so I encouraged her. I said, there's a whole new world over here in Telegram. Why don't you come over here and create a channel and create a series of coins, 100 coins. So that's what she did. Her channel is t.me/by Alex, by Alex, ALIX. And she has prospered. She has totally changed her. She now transacts 100% in Epic Cash, and has learned along the way the value of doing that, because it is an appreciating asset. And her mission is, as she goes through this process, to bring other artists over and be able to help them do the same thing. And this is what is so cool about the community, is the community is so supportive and accepting. And when we use the word inclusive, what's cool, Izlo, is that I look at t.me/Epic Cash as kind of that. If you think of a really, really nice hotel, and you have that when you walk in and you go up to get your room, and you have the people there that just greet you with open arms, and they tell you, okay, if you go down here, you'll find this, there's that restaurant over there. If you want to go to the swimming pool, it's on, the ground floor. If you want to go up to the weight room, it's on the 9th floor, or whatever. There's a place for everyone to really, really, find their peace and comfort. And that's what I find in the Epic Cash community, is if you're interested in mining, you can be pointed to the mining community. And then once you're in there, you meet people like you, and others, to where you handle them and help them. And if you are a woman, we have ladies of Epicenter that are just so supportive of each other. Alex is starting her own artist community, and really trying to bring people over there. And I mean, there are different communities with it. It's like almost it's crazy to me. We are so diverse in our interests and we can all live it in peace with each other, even though we may have opposing worldviews in certain areas. It is just beautiful within Epic Cash that if you just follow the simple guidelines of being good to one another, and just it's really basic. It's really basic on how we can all get along, right? But
Yeah.
the message being is that if you come to t.me/epic cash, whatever you're interested in, you likely will find a home. But if there's not a community and you want t.me epic visas, guess what? You are empowered to create it yourself,
Yeah.
and then go spread the word, and then have your own community to
Right.
where it's Epic Cash. But I'm sorry, I went on a tangent there. I just saw my daughter in there, and I'm like so proud of her for coming in and taking the risk to transact in Epic Cash versus the green stuff, and it's really working out well for her. So all right, let's continue down the list. Community project structure. What does that mean to you, Izlo?
It's how people get onboarded into being more active in the community. I think initiative is always good. People who show initiative, like, hey, I have this skill set. I'm a talented artist. Like, what do I do? And it's like, oh yeah, well, there's a Telegram group for that. Go chat with some other artists, or just we've got the talented traders and some technical analysis going on in our trading channel. And the structure there is, it's been released. I think it's still in draft form, but the Hello World document, which is a revised or a revamped white paper, a brain book of everything that's happening in Epic Cash, and that actually outlines the community structure and some the leadership tiers that happen there. It's sort of sort of like a military structure. Like a military rank structure, and various levels of contributors, and I see that as sort of as, not to say certain people are trusted less than other people, but I think that is part of ascending the ranks, is putting the time in, getting to know people, and we have ways such as this, even or even people DM each other, and relationships develop in that way, and we share ideas and build relationships. It is like someone said something here poignant in the chat here. There are core dev and community volunteers, kind of like Bitcoin in the beginning. We are a lot like Bitcoin in the beginning, before we were centralized towards ASICs, before, in so many different ways, Epic Cash. But on this getting back to not going off in rabbit holes, staying on the focus of the community structure. It is grassroots. It is people knocking on doors. It is people sending emails to exchanges and saying, hey, what about this? Hey, can we do this? And there's been progress, and we've gotten onto things like Stock Twits, which is a fairly well-known chat group for stocks and cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's this structure that's inclusive and open and available, and all that's missing is the next person to come in and bring energy to it.
I love that. I look at the structure as acknowledgement of people who lead with their chins versus their handout. Yeah. And it becomes really, really readily apparent within the different chats of the people who come in and they want to add positive energy to the blockchain. And part of the way that you add energy to any blockchain is you can develop it, you can mine it, you can buy it, or you can earn it. And earning it in many ways is just leading and raising your hand and say, hey coach, put me in. I'm pretty good at I'm an illustrator. I'd be happy to be able to help with if you need any visuals for a white paper, or, I'm a really good memer. And, in this world of crypto, memes kind of rule. You can just really, many memes pack a powerful punch. If you go look at a lot of my thumbnails in my channels, those are just from volunteers within the community that have taken the initiative to create some incredible thumbnail art that I've been able to use. So thank you everyone who has done that. But the community aspect of this is really cool, because I don't care who you are. And I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you watching this. You know your talents, you know your lanes, you are all special. And I'm not just trying to go all goo-goo on you, because Thanksgiving is tomorrow and it's the holiday season. I mean it. Every one of us has something in us that feeds our soul that we're really good at. And whatever that is, if you can come in and try to figure out how to use your own talents to be able to add value and energy to Epic Cash, you are welcome, man. And it's like, my daughter is kind of blown away because she has she commented a couple of times on what community means to her, and now all of a sudden Captain Pie is writing his next article on the Epic Cash community, and he did an outreach to Alex saying, hey, I'd really love your fresh perspective on this. So now she's leaning into, adding value to that article and reaching out to other community members to be able to get some quotes and testimonials and stuff. And it's just cool. I just sit back and I'm like, yes, you get it. That's what it's all about. Then all of a sudden, in crypto years, dog years, you have 7 years to R1. Crypto years, if you're in cryptocurrency, I think it's like 10 years for every 1 year. There's so many lifetimes that go by. You learn so much so fast, right, Izlo?
Absolutely. And so hold on.
Yep.
Speaking of artists, and I was like, hey, I want to make some stickers, and
Wow.
I know the logo is out there, and so, it's like you'll rarely find me without my water bottle, my trusty water bottle, not within like 10 feet of me. And so everyone that sees me always sees me, going for the
I
just
love
like that. But yeah, and that's from the artist group, and now I've sent some of these off to a bunch of stickers off to Max. I sent a bunch of stickers off to a guy in Romania, and it's super cool. Yeah.
So awesome. Is there anywhere on within our community to where somebody could order them from you?
So I don't sell these. If anyone's, I just went through a sticker manufacturer, and so if anyone wants the information, it was a pretty good deal I got. So yeah,
maybe you could post that, because I'd order a bunch of those stickers. That's cool.
I think the other idea that we missed out on this first run is we didn't include the QR code scanner, so you could just scan and then like go out to Epic's website, and
Nice.
yeah. So we kind of want to incorporate that, and I might want to ping the artist group again and say, hey, can you make this look cool? Because I can copy paste the QR code, but there's talented artists in there. I'll be like, and do it in a couple seconds.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what boggles my mind. It's like literally you can put an idea out there. And I learned this word from Max, ideate. I've never used it in my career. But it's like the hive mind, right? If you put an idea in a group and just it's like chum in the water, and you have a lot of talented people, they'll go in and all of a sudden they'll each contribute to it and just ideate this thing to where on the other side it comes out with something like this. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, you know what? That font's hard to read. Okay, no problem. Boom, they change the font. Oh yeah, let's put a QR code in the lower left. Boom. And then all of a sudden, just go look at some of my thumbnails, people. of my videos, and you will see that those are a process of ideation, and it's really a beautiful thing. So can you help us, because we have ECR snapshot coming out,
Right.
and one of the 15 that we're going to talk about is DAO governance. Can you educate us a little bit on what that means?
So a DAO is a distributed autonomous organization. Sorry, decentralized autonomous organization. And it is a community. And that community can interact with each other and make proposals and have an impact and influence a cryptocurrency project. So ECR is a token, and it will live on a plethora of networks such as WAN and Matic and ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum chain. A bunch of other I can't remember.
Polygon, right?
Yeah, that's Matic. Polygon Matic.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ECR token will be kind of your weight as a voice. So the more ECR token you would have, the more weight you would have in voting on various proposals. And so yeah, that's one thing that happens right now as part of the proof of work is there's a voluntary, you can call it a development fee is a simpler term, but when you break it down, you look at what's happening. It's a voluntary, it's voluntary for the people who are mining to contribute towards this fund. And it started off at 8.88%, and it diminishes by 1.11% every year until it completely disappears after a course of like 8 years. And so at the moment, it's at 6.66%. I believe around September timeframe next year, it'll be down to 5.55%. Mm-hmm. Well, so initially those funds have been managed. Not a whole lot more to say on that. I just really don't know exactly. You have to look at what's happened so far. We have a blockchain. We have a native coin. There was a certain level of work that went into all that. There's various other things that I know Todd hasn't been reimbursed for any of the work he's done. But what I'm getting to here is that as we transition into a DAO, that miner's contribution will go towards the DAO governance treasury. Mm-hmm. So that and there will be a certain amount of these epic cash coins that produce by way of mining that will be at the control of the DAO treasury, and people will be able to vote on proposals on various things to do with ECR or various things to do, I would imagine, with those epic cash coins, and how it gets managed in the future. So kind of a transition of an early on control of the mining development fee, a transition from how that's managed by a core of developers to the community who holds ECR, and that ties back into what I think you mentioned at the beginning of the show. There's a snapshot to capture the amount of epic people hold on December 25th, and they will be matched 1-for-1 with ECR for however many epic cash they hold on December 25th. And that's their gate, that's their entry point to participate in the community DAO.
You have skin in the game. You have a vote. You have a seat at the table.
Right.
And one thing that I think is important to note here, when I went through my little period where I started to recognize that all coins aren't created the same in crypto, and many of them are created to be pump and dumps, to where there's these pre-mines, to where the founders of these blockchains, they basically pre-mine the coins so that they have their little treasure chest that allows them to be able to create a pump and dump dynamic where they can go shill their coin or get some get some influencers out there to be able to promote their coins. And then what happens is they're pretty smart people. They'll create a sell wall because they know when a big event or a big promotion is going to happen, and they'll get everybody to get excited about buying and FOMO into the coin, fear of missing out, get into the coin, and they will sell on you. So when you look at many, probably most of these charts in the history of these coins, they go flat, 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 and then they spike up and they spike down. And so there are so many of those people where there becomes a transfer of wealth from the people who are caught up in the FOMO, who buy into the hype, and it goes into the pockets of the people who had pre-mined and had orchestrated all of this. So that's when I started my shitcoin trials, which led me to Max, which I hope people, if you really want to know where the genesis of this channel now being really dedicated to Epic Cash came from, go down and find a video of me where I'm wearing a white wig, looking ridiculous, pointing at the picture, and it says Epic Cash on the thumbnail. And that was when Max came on, and what was going to be an hour interview turned into 2.5 hours, to where he caught my attention, and I have really kind of eaten and drinking little almost all Epic Cash ever since. But I wanted to just say that when I went through that exercise of shitcoin trials and stuff, what I learned from Max in the subsequent weeks of talking to him is that there is something with a project that is called a fair launch. And a fair launch, why don't you unpack what a fair launch is, Izlo?
Well, and I was thinking about that. As I was talking about the ECR and the snapshot, and that's great for people like me who have been around since the mainnet, you know. But the mainnet was a fair launch. I didn't learn about it because Max called me up. I didn't even know Max. I didn't know Yoga Dude. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone on Epic Cash. It wasn't like I was part of the the core developers, and I got an inside scoop. I was just scanning around the internet, and I found this service that I paid $3 for that says, hey, these are the new mineable proof of work coins that are coming out, and here's some basic parameters. Oh, this one has, you can mine on these 3 algorithms for CPU, GPU, and ASIC, and so that was it's a fair launch. It was announced before they went mainnet. Anyone could come in, and this is before I knew about ECR, even that there was an ecosystem coming along with this thing. It was known to some people. And any project is going to be like that. If you know the vision of a project, you can see beyond just what's on the surface. But the point of a fair launch is to put it out there on everyone's radar that, hey, this is the project that we're working on. We think it's cool. You should come check it out. And they did it the appropriate way, the way that as the proverbial sense of crypto history, that you do things on bitcointalk.org, and that's where the announcement is made. But they got picked up a lot of other places because everyone scans bitcointalk.org and then kind of distributes information from there. But yeah, it was totally a fair launch. There was no pre-mined coins printed out of thin air. It started from zero. The only coins that went to any development fee are coins that miners agreed to pay as they mined these Epic Cash coins from the beginning. And a lot of these miners were earlier than the fair launch. They were there from the test net and were helping to develop, to verify that the blockchain was going to work like we thought it would. So
yeah, and in doing that, what the genius behind the design of Epic Cash and the ecosystem and the future of Epic Cash is that it was created with the Howey test in mind. And the Howey test is what is used to determine whether a project is a security. And Epic Cash, I know there was considerable investment in an attorney who beat it up before it ever launched. I mean, literally just beat it up so that we will never, you can never say never, but the likelihood of Epic Cash, anybody ever tapping us on the shoulders and saying, no, you're a security, like with Ripple, right? With XRP, getting you tied up into lawsuits, getting you delisted from exchanges, and having it go from boom down to there, because all of a sudden now you're fighting Uncle Sam or whoever else is out there. We are, just go read down below, go find the Hello World article. Every time I post a video, I have a collection of links to where it is an entire repository, a library of all things Epic Cash. So if you can't find something in there, I don't know how to help you. But there is a Hello World document, which is our white paper. You can go in there and learn everything about this, but in search for the Howey test and how we, I believe 5 out of 5 is like an A+, and we got a 5 out of 5 on it. So there are all of these things that's what I've really appreciated about Todd Lewis and Max and the team that has really incubated this from the beginning, is that they played a long ball. They haven't just played for a pump, you know, win moon. It's like Max hates that crap. He is allergic to it. He hates talking price. He's like, people are going to get the price of Epic they deserve. And no, I'm not looking for it to go, you know, to $10 and to $100. He's like, no, it's going to happen over time as it happens over time. And it is just going to be like the Rock of Gibraltar. It's just, there's never going to be a rug pull. And I love that about his heart, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And it's a scarce resource. It has utility. You know, the goal should be to acquire it and take loans against it with ECR. And, you know, going back to the Howey test, ECR is a derivative of Epic Cash, and it's a community token. So and you participate. So with those reasons, it's not going to be a security, because you're not buying a stock while some other business does some activity to grow the value of your stock. You are participating in that activity as a community member by holding that ECR. And so by the way that works and how the mechanisms of that ecosystem works, you are not just simply purchasing a security. You are participating in the blockchain. So,
yeah. So we are regulatory compatible, yet we are a privacy coin. And Max is fond of saying we're not a privacy coin. We are just a coin that happens to have private transactions. And, you know, I think there are some coins out there to where their use case is to be private. And it was a fun interview today with Todd Lewis. You can hear him talking about other privacy protocols. But ours just happens to, by default, our transactions are private. So, but along with that, guess what? They're really, 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 really fast. Our transactions are really fast.
Well, and on that privacy note, if you like the Fourth Amendment, which protects us against illegal search and seizure, then we absolutely should you know, probably lobby for privacy cryptocurrencies through our legislation in order to, you know, assure our Fourth Amendment rights.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. And somebody made a comment in the Cash about the serial numbers of Cash. You're right. You're right. Each one does have a serial number. So Mimblewimble even kicks Cash's ass. Yeah, baby.
I got to run to an appointment.
Yeah, this is look, we are 8 o'clock. We've kept this to an hour, and you rock. Thank you. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Please come back tomorrow at noon. Yoga Dude will be on here for an hour, and then we can go watch football and get fat. All right. Okay, Izlo. Cheers. Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.